Welcome to YouTooSpain, broadcasting live on YouTube from a very wet Spain this morning. On today's show, I'll be asking our very good friend Chris from Upsticks all about making changes to your Spanish residency. For example, the non-lucrative visa to your EU resident, maybe renewals as well, or temporary to permanent, and any others you want to ask about. And we're also going to announce the EPREM figures for 2024. Yes, they've been published at last. So join in on the live chat, or if you're watching the video back afterwards, in the comments below. There'll be lots of handy information and lively chat for you from beginning to end. So stick around for the whole thing. You're all very welcome to YouTooSpain. Here's the latest thing. Still alive. Yeah, here we go. And that one, I've got lots of new ones. Check off, ready? And of course, we're going to do a Let's Dance any second now. So let's do it. Let's dance. Oh, groovy, baby. Right then, just before we get chatting, don't forget to sign up for free to the monthly newsletter from our website, YouTooSpain.com. It'll be on the screen for most of the show. And a very quick mention to our lovely friends at Smart, whom I highly recommend for currency exchange when you're moving to Spain or buying a property here. Use the link below in the video description to get in touch with them and sign up for a free account with no obligation. Doesn't cost a penny. And it helps YouTooSpain out too. When you use that link, definitely use that. And it is, as we always say, a win-win-win with a cherry on top. There we go. And in a moment, we'll have a chat to you on the live chat. There's loads of you joining up today. But without further ado, let's meet my wonderful guest for today. It's Chris from Upsticks. Morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm all right. Still a little bit wet here. It's throwing it down. How's it down there on the coast?
Yeah, it's been really, really raining, which is good. But I was surprised because we had like really big gusts of wind last night. We get quite in a wind tunnel here almost, but there's not been much destruction. So keep the rain coming.
That's good, yes. The reservoirs are starting to fill up. I think we need about 3 months of this before they can be properly refilled.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we need a lot more, but yeah, let's hope it carries on raining for a while.
Brilliant. So this show, by the way, for everybody watching, is also being streamed on Upsticks YouTube channel as well. So if you've got another device, I can see loads of people are linked, including Raoul. he's on the line there. So if you've got another device, watch it on there too, so that he gets the watch hours. And don't forget to subscribe to his channel as well. And do you have any clients to shout out to before I say hello to everybody on the live chat?
Yeah, I want to say I know Julie, Emma, and Ian, who I met in Lanzarote. I was away last week. Well, last week on the week before, and the clients of ours, and we met playing bingo. It was brilliant.
Lovely.
So a couple of times actually over the course of the holiday. So it was nice to see him there.
And I hear you won the bingo.
We did. You know what? It was so embarrassing. We won twice actually. And then Raoul won the stand-up bingo, but gave his prize away because we'd already won the main bingo.
Yeah.
And then there was a cash prize for stand-up bingo. So I said, look, it's not fair that we take both. So
what's stand-up bingo? It's like comedy.
It's yeah. You have to tell a joke. If not, you sit down. No, it's great. Everybody stand up and they call. You had one ticket and they call out numbers. If your number gets called.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, just a laugh really, and it was a great holiday, and yeah, we won, but we gave our prize away to the second place person.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay then, let's say good morning to Andy Cooper, Robbo, and Anton Cares. There we go. He's doing hola todos, feck off Freddy, peas and fluff, BG's glory again. Now let's do the peas and fluff. Show your peas and fluff. These are the peas we got sent gifts from Anton Cares. You can see it better on Chris's screen because mine obviously it's green and I've got a green screen, so mine's completely see-through. So they're floating peas. There we go. And Adam Farmerlow, morning from Wolverhampton, still alive. And Raoul says, Daddy, it's me, Raoul, your first comment there.
I'll say hi to Raoul. Raoul, thanks for supporting us. I did say you're on YouTube all the time. You've still got to support us, And he's obviously paired us there. And thank you, my son. I'll be home soon.
Good lad. And Lolly P, morning everyone, sneaking in from work. Oh, sneaky thing. And Raoul saying, hey, he's doing loads of comments. Brilliant. Keep on doing that, Raoul. That gets the algorithm going. So brilliant. And Mike Ripper says, morning all. And Sarah Bold, good morning. Raoul again. Dad equals Chris. Mr. Loelago, morning all. No rain so far in Orihuela Costa. It's heading your way, so batten down the hatches.
Yeah.
And Raoul says, say hi, Dad. He's just done that. I thought that was a few minutes ago. And he says, love you too, Daddy. And morning, folks, from Stee19. Oh, is that Stee? It is. Morning, folks. Lovely. Good to see you all virtually there in the column. And keep on saying hello and waving and putting your comments there and any questions. So my first question was, have we got anything more to say about permanent residency? We did this 2 weeks ago. It's quite a big subject, isn't it? Moving.
Yeah, I can't remember. I should have written down anything we had. Pending now, but
yeah. So if anybody's got any questions that maybe we didn't cover last time on that, then ask us. But otherwise, we'll move on to the one big one that probably more of you will want to know about, which is non-lucrative visa to EU residency. So under what circumstances would you do that, Chris?
So a lot of people have, this has been, we've done some now, so that's why I thought it was a good idea to do a program on this. But when this whole thing started with Brits being third country nationals, a lot of people obviously realised they qualified for an EU passport, but that would take a while to come through. And can they get to Spain before on a different platform and then switch it? And the answer is yes, you can. It's just not something which is commonly seen here.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who mainly, evidently, Irish passports had access to an Irish passport, but may have taken a bit longer because, like with your videos that you've got explaining different ways that you can get an Irish passport, sometimes they can come through quickly, sometimes they come through quite slow and want to be in Spain. So initially they've gone through the NLV process and then living here in Spain and managed to obtain an EU passport. Now, in Spain, there's two. So you've got two platforms. You've got the Régimen, well, you've got three actually. You've got the Régimen Comunitario, you've got the national immigration law, so you've got the EU sort of community law, you've got the national immigration law, and you've got the investor platform as well. Right? But you can switch between them. Qualify. You have to qualify.
Yeah.
So basically, that is what we're going to talk about today, is people who have managed to actually do that successfully.
Great stuff. So I think you've answered this one. Where do you go to register?
Right. So the first thing is when the person who gets the EU passport will then need to basically change their residency for an EU residency. And this was quite funny when this first came up, because to do that, you go straight to Estrangeria. Remember that somebody who's a third country national doesn't have permission to live in Spain. They have to request permission under some form or another. And someone who is an EU citizen already has permission to live here because they're an EU citizen, but they have to register that permission.
Yeah.
So what the person, our clients are on an NLB using a British passport, then go to the Estrangeria with the EU passport, because generally it's an Irish one, and the details which we're going to go through now, what you need to take with you to actually register your EU card. Now, the first thing to understand is that this is different. We always talk about how now we can't make decisions. We have to put the best case forward because we don't get a chance to argue with the person behind the desk nowadays, because every time we do the renewals, it's all done online, etc., etc. This is the opposite. You do get a chance now to speak to that person and put your case forward and say to you why. And sometimes, even now, they don't particularly understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So the first
actually,
time...
I know a few people who don't understand that Ireland is a different place from the UK, and that must be confusing.
Mm. Yeah, so there's a lot of, it depends on who you get behind it. So we had initially in Malaga, when we did our first one, there was a lot of head scratching going on like this. Well, hang on a minute, well, but they've got this card and this card, and they go, yeah, and then there was we can't assign them a new NIE because it's got to be the same NIE number. That's your ID number. And then someone from the back came out and went, no, this is how you do it, and you're supposed to keep their card, get rid of that, and they walked out with a lovely, good EU card. Now Malaga, they fly through. So this was about 18 months, a year ago. Now it's fine. We've done them in Vélez, we've done them in Figueroa, we've done them in the main station where people are swapped, and they generally fly through. But recently, we've done them in Alicante as well, and that was fine. It worked well. And that was in the main. I think it might have been in Elche, which is more particular ones with the documents, and that went through. But we did recently have a problem in Motril, and with Granada, and I was at the appointment there with our client, and we had all the documents ready, and the guy behind the desk who he openly admitted it didn't just move there from customs, so wasn't too sure that the guy who's normally there was on holiday. Said, I can't do it. And I'm like, well, we know you can because we've done many of these. He's like, hang on a minute, gets on the phone to the sub-delegation. They ran him through it, but he really wasn't confident enough to do it and told us to go away. So we had to book another appointment for when another agent was there, go back and then successfully get the card. But, it's always, they are seeing more of these circumstances arise, but it is a little bit dependent on who you get on the day behind the desk. And if you don't achieve swapping your NLV for an EU passport, EU residency, if you've got an EU passport, it can be done. Don't be disheartened. Just go back again.
Good to know. Let's say good morning to Beverly. Hello there. And Paul Cook. He's got both channels on now. Mad David's there as well. Raoul says bye. He's headed off. He's got bored now because he doesn't want to move to Spain or change his residency anyway.
Permanent residency. So that's something we were discussing the other day. Actually, would be change nationality to Spanish? But actually, Raoul's in a very good position, like lots of withdrawal agreement children, whereas he would struggle to travel around the rest of Europe because he's got a British passport. Withdrawal agreement resident. If he wants to go and study in the UK, he can do. So,
he said to me, he said, I'm not interested in the moving to Spain stuff, but if you did moving to the UK stuff, I'd be interested in that.
He's convinced he's going to move when he gets older. I said, you don't know, you're born living in Malaga. I said, he's convinced he's going to go to the UK to live and study.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen to our son as well, even though he studied in Ireland. He's got a choice of three, really. He could do England, Ireland or Spain. Eventually he's got like a home in all three places, so that's very handy. Ant says, you're welcome to some of our rain. Ant and Kez, of course, are in France, for those of you who didn't know. Months and counting rain here. Much fields are mini lakes. And guess what today's weather is? Rain, by any chance? Yes. And Yogi is with us. Good morning from Campersol. Morning, Yogi. Looking forward to meeting you on Monday. And Sean as well from Expat in Matharon. And says, hasta luego, Raul. Sarah has a question. She asked me yesterday about what the sum of money was to show for an EU citizen moving to Spain, which was 7,200. I think that's 1 times EPREM for the year. However, I didn't ask what we'd need for my partner who would move with me. Is it 1.5 altogether?
Yeah, generally it's 1.5. Now, a lot the different, again, you're dealing with different ideas and different interpretations, but that's the general ruling that we go with.
She's over in Alicante. Is it any different over there?
No, that's it. I'll tell you what it is in Alicante, though, is they want to see a lot of bank statements. You know, very, very strict on bank statements and translations. In everybody's structure is very, very different, evidently. But they want to see if you've got a lump sum you're working with, then they still want to see the last 6 months bank statements to make sure nobody's actually lent you that money.
Yeah.
And if it's passive income, and say it's recently been going into your Spanish account, it's been going into another account, say in the UK beforehand, they're probably going to want to see translations of that account beforehand. So yeah. And then for people who are obviously switching from an NLV to an EU, the great news is you've already got most of the stuff in place anyway. So because you had it in place for your IV renewal, so it becomes quite easy. But Alicante is stricter on and impossible to get appointments there. So if you are looking to go to Alicante in EU, then you want to start looking for your appointment as soon as possible because they're very, very difficult to get.
That's good to know. And we forgot to announce the e-prom. I went straight past it on my list. So the announcement is nothing's changed.
No, they've added 2024. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold going on. I don't want to cough down the microphone. The e-prom stayed the same, which is great news for everybody. It doesn't look like it's gone up, which normally means if that hasn't gone up, means the small taxes we pay relating to the immigration don't go up as well. Though last year they didn't go up e-prom. And it means that everybody's calculation is nice and rounded, because if you remember before it went up to this nice rounded figure, so it was all point something, wasn't it? But
but no, so it's EPREM 600 a month. That's one times EPREM, which works out at 7,200 a year, and 1.5 times that is, I think, 11,800, something like that. Just under 12 grand anyway. So for a EU plus partner, and the amount of 4 times EPREM for somebody for the year is 28,800, I think, off the top of my head. That sounds right.
Yep, then plus 100% for each beneficiary, so a couple still 36,000.
Perfect.
Well, I got asked an interesting question actually on my weekly updates, which we can. Someone said to me, "What exchange rate do the consulates use?"
Yeah.
When you're going, well, the honest truth is they don't publish what exchange rate they use, so it's up to you to prove what money you have if you don't meet. So we always say, belts and braces, it's best if you can get the numbers to match. So if they're looking for 36,000 euros, and you shouldn't really go with the bare minimum anyway. It's always good if you can get a bit more. If you go for £36,000, then it's quite easy, considering that the person behind the desk is going to facilitate whatever you're putting to make it easy for them. So that's an easy thing, because we know there's no exchange involved. If you are having to depend maybe because of passive income on exchange, then you have to always advise that you write a letter, an escrito, with the exchange amount, which relates to where you got that information from. So there's plenty of websites which are official, and the date that it relates to as well. And I've done that in the past, and that's worked. So.
Brilliant. That is good to know. Oh, Mad David says, thanks for the fridge magnet, Chris.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, he's got it.
It passed customs. That's good. I thought I put it in a letter format, so I was like, right, because I don't think you're supposed to send those through. Can you get away? Well, obviously got away, didn't we? But
did, yeah. And it's not actually a magnet. Oh, it is a magnet. Yeah.
It's metal, so I don't. Yeah. It's and
I wonder how because their scanning equipment is magnetic. I'd surely pick that one up.
Oh well, it doesn't matter if you got it.
It works. That's good to know. Oh, I've got an echo coming through now. Oh no, it's stopped. That's all right. So Steve says, "Hi lads." Hello, Steve. Steve's up in Locker. Hope you're all well. I will have completed my 5 years of residency here in Spain in May 2024. Congratulations. Is it an easy process that I can now do on my own to change from temporary to permanent residency? He arrived under the WA, of course, and thanks in advance.
Yeah, so you'll be going to hey Steve, good to see from you as well. I was up in Locker actually the other day. You'll be going to San Egipto in Granada, which is the police station up there. And basically, it's filling out your form. So you'll need your EX23, it is for WA, your 790 tax form. And then you still have to prove how you're supporting yourself, both financially and your healthcare in Spain. And then you'll get your 10-year card. Once you get your 10-year card, which I haven't got mine here, I don't know where it is, then it's a case of just going and updating your photo every time. You don't even have to take proof of your income and healthcare.
Yeah, brilliant. Can he use having a property as part of his proof of financial requirement?
An up-to-date notice simply, but on its own. Now they do depends on the regions. Granada's slightly different. So believe it or not, in Malaga, you can use a property to get residency without paying them a penny in the bank if you're an EU citizen.
Oh, cool.
Just a notice simply, and they go, okay, then brilliant, you can have your residency. But it's the only province I know that does that. All the other provinces do ask for capital or your income.
Cool. I know Steve's got a pension going on, so he's got some passive income as well there. So
yeah,
there you go. Janet says, good morning, everyone. Sarah Bolt. Oh, yeah. So she's saying, so if I opened up a Spanish account 6 months or 12 months prior to moving and started moving money from our German account, would this help? You'd end up with a non-residence account there and paying some fees per month. That would be the only thing against that, but that would be good proof. You'd be able to show loads of bank statements if you had that kind of account.
Yeah, it certainly helps. You know, any Spanish account, when you're dealing with any immigration on any front, Spanish account always helps showing regular income.
Aha. Oh, and she says also, if we both were to have a work contract, do they still want to see all the bank statements?
No, actually. Very rare. Again, the EU's platform it depends who you get behind the desk, unless they think for any reason, maybe depending on your contracts. You've got indefinido, which most contracts have to be now. It's not a problem. So I'd say you need to have at least one of your wage slips so you can show them that's gone into the bank. But you don't normally need to have, as long as you've got a contract, they actually check on the system that Social Security they have access to. We recently had an autonomo one as well, and I went armed with, as I always do, with that much pieces of paper to put, like we did for you, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
This and to be honest with you, they just checked on the system. I went, oh yeah, we can see he's got the alta. That's it. And I bought some money as well because he's only just recently went, no. But then you can't risk not doing that, because just in case they ask for it. But generally, especially here in Malaga, they're very, very contracts and autonomos are quite good registrations to do.
Great stuff. So mine's going to be easy, isn't it? When I change to my permanent.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Yours will be easy, and then so you don't have an expiry date evidently on your card. We just have to calculate it, and then you'll get a permanent one.
Brilliant. So, any more questions there? Steve says, thanks, guys. That's really helped. Mad David says, just wondering if you do a step-by-step guide for dummies moving to Spain. I've been asked this before, actually. It's not easy to do a step-by-step guide because of this. Let's get the thing up on screen. It depends. There are so many it depends when it comes to individual people's circumstances that I don't think it's possible to produce a step-by-step guide without there being so many different tangents that you go off. You could draw one of those graphs where it says, yes and no, and it splits off into two more yeses and nos and two more yeses and nos, and it goes. You'd end up with a million yeses and nos. But there's a step-by-step guide, lots of step-by-step guides on both of our channels, I think, to different aspects of the process. I think we've both done what documents do you need, and we've done an S1 and for the health care from the UK and things like that. So I'm going to try and do more of them though, and produce a book as well. That'd be good, a PDF ebook, and we can both give that out as well.
Yeah, I've always dreamed of doing some form of book. I've got a title for the book that I'd love to do about moving to Spain, and one about my life in Spain. I'm nowhere near getting anywhere. So.
Yeah, I did have a title for mine. What was that called? It was about carrying my octopus. I've got an octopus puppet. It's about a 4-foot purple octopus that's like Salvador Dali. It's got the big curly moustache and a paintbrush attached to his hand. And I was going to call the book "I've Got an Octopus in My Roof Box," something like that. Anyway, So yeah, it's really easy to publish a book these days because you can throw it onto ChatGPT and it will create the whole book for you without you having to design it like you used to, buy a whole program and set it out and have pictures in the front and all kinds of things. They can do it automatically. There's loads of templates as long as you have all of the text. You can just throw it into the ChatGPT and it just goes. There we go. That's your book laid out for you.
Mine's called How to Bury an Ostrich.
Hey,
I'll tell you about that. So that you have to read it in the book. But Lara, my wife, is well on to me, saying to me, Chris, you've had all these plans to do books and you still haven't. I'm like, yeah, but because of work and because of this, you never do it. There's no excuse, is there? Because there is like now dictating software. So even when you're using WhatsApp, and there's an AI on WhatsApp that I use to dictate notes now. Mm-hmm. Used to drive the team mad because I'd speak to people just have rubbish notes. Yeah. And now my notes are like great because instead of typing, because I don't type that quickly, I dictate it and stick it straight in the system. So yeah, there's no excuse really not to get stuff on paper, is there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's changed. It's gone back to old school, hasn't it? People stopped talking and they were typing for ages and texting, but now you can just hold the thing up to your face and you can basically type quicker. And it's gone back to talking, but you're just kind of recording it to nobody to start with.
Yeah, no. And it also means those ideas you get in your head. So I recently did an article which hasn't come out yet, but about the word giddy. You know, they use it for foreigners here in Spain. Yeah. And it's quite a personal and intricate subject, depending on what side of the fence you're on, how they use that word. And I had this great idea when I was walking, and I was like, I'm going to do an article. And then when I got back and looked at the notes, I was like, that's actually quite good, you know. So, and then I did exactly what you said. I ran the structure through ChatGPT, but don't change it because it gets kicked off of Google. And that's going to come out. So I'll let you know when that article comes out. But it's quite personal as well, actually.
Brilliant. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Robbo says, Skatz, you're doing an outdoor broadcast. You're wrapped up for winter. It's throwing it down with rain outside. And in a moment, when we do the halfway point, I've got a new halfway advert, by the way. So looking forward to showing you that. We might do that in a minute, actually. But I always pop out to go down the wooden steps without a handrail, which is absolutely soaking and very dangerous today. I'm going to get rained on, so I'll be wet after the halfway point. As I come back, you'll see it in a minute. So yes, that's why I'm wrapped up, because I am in an outdoor building in the garden. So, Sarah Belt says probably paying some non-resident bank charges. It's probably cheaper than getting 6 months on bank statements, etc. translated.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends what. And some non-residence accounts, if you put in a certain amount in every month, won't charge you anyway, depending on, or they'll charge you less if you put in like 700 in a month or something like that. But your translations can add up.
If you're lucky, if you get a good bank manager, if they know that you're definitely moving over, and if you've got a property here and you're definitely moving over, they might say, okay, we'll waive the charges on your non-residence account. That's what they did for me, but we'd actually arrived in the country and we were looking for a property in Computer anyway, and the bank manager went, yeah, I know you want to move here, you're definitely moving here, so I'll waive all of the charges on your non-residence account for now, and then as soon as you've both got your cards, then, and he also knew that we were both self-employed as well, so we were going to have 3 accounts altogether. And he said, look, instead of having 700 going into all 3 accounts, I'll just say if you've got 700 altogether between, all 3 of you every month, then that's all right. We won't put charges on any of the accounts. So that was brilliant. Find a good bank manager. That's the secret.
It also goes to prove that they can do it if they want to, because you'll always get, head office says no, computer says no. Well, that's just no.
Yeah. That's definitely rubbish. Yeah, they can. Shall we take the halfway point now and go back to the rest of the questions on it? It's only 5:30, but yes, why not? I'm eager to show you this new advert with my friends. And Doogie is still there, but you'll see. I won't spoil it for you. So see you in a couple of minutes. Here are all of the services that you can have through YouTooSpain. And here we go. Are you getting the most out of YouTooSpain? I don't know! Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's like the Graham Norton show. Bah! There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed with all the information you need, so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here. Without paying tax! No, Colonel, that's illegal. But you can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully. Well said, Walter. How do I find the videos? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel, darling. And click on the bell, you useless Colonel. There's a playlist here called Video Diaries. Oh, now that is Skatz's personal story about life in Spain. And his battle with cancer. Still alive! Hashtag FOF. You can support him too. He needs you, my darlings. The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him. Colonel! He's not a very nice man. It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype. Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not. Brexit! Moving on! How do I support Skatz? Use the QR code in the corner. Oh, there's a link in the video description below. I think he's worth every penny, but I can't find the link anywhere. In the video description, you idiot! I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery. While you're watching or pausing, below the video you'll see the title, just here. Oh, I see it. It says, read more. That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears. What's the information all about? There's contact information for the expert guests and lots of links to other related companies that I recommend. And they help out YouTooSpain if you use those links to get in touch with them. There's so much down below. Ah! Has anyone have a pen? No need, Tommy. You can find everything on our website, YouTooSpain.com. And don't forget the Facebook page and the YouTooSpain community group, where you can talk to other people like you. There's no one like me, sweetie. Thank goodness. Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things. Oh, I do like things. Where's Doogie Dog? That used to be his line. I'm stuck behind a wall. Oh, sorry, Doogie. I'll come and find you after the show. Thank you, Master. Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants. Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio. Fantastic. I'm stuck behind a wall. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't get Doogie on the screen this time. It's so difficult to film a puppet. Don't know if you know, puppeteers, they're always down below, and the puppet's always way up like that and holding your arm right up there. The people who do the Muppets and those kind of shows, they all day they're up like this and moving around, and they've got the sticks for the arms, and I just have so much respect for them. There we go. That's my puppeteer guide for today. There we go. Still, who's on the live chat still? Any more messages? No, everybody's just been watching. So let's get back to the questions. Where were we? We've got, where do you go? What's the process of going from NLV to EU? And let's go through the documents.
Yeah, so so first of all, obviously, you've got to get the EU residency. So it's basically a standard EU residency application when you go to this Tranqueria, but you have to take with you your old passport and your TIE card if you're in an LV, because they're going to retain that. That's been our experience so far. They actually retain that, your old TIE card, and you come away with an EU one. In terms of the document requirements, an EU residency application form is an EX18. You have to also pay your 790 012 tax form as well, which is currently at €12. Mm-hmm. And then you have to prove the three things of healthcare, you've got enough money, and where you live. Evidently, where you live is a Padron certificate, okay? Because if you're on an NLV, you should have one of those now anyway. If you're on an NLV, then one would assume you've got enough funds to fund yourself for the EU. And the healthcare there's three fronts on the healthcare. So you've got, and this is Well, it's actually only two fronts on the healthcare. You've got the private, and you've got the social security. So if you're on an S1, for example, you have to take your social security certificate proving you've got it. Now, if you're not allowed to work on an NLV, but if your NLV is expired and you've got an Irish passport and you've managed to, you can't work on that platform. If you can work though, once you've basically NLV has expired, if you've got a contract and then get an EU. So what we would advise on that front is that you'd have to go first of all to get your NIE certificate changed to that nationality to be able to work before you could get your residency. That's a slightly more complicated stance. If your NLV has expired and you don't intend to renew it, you still can't work straight away off the back of that. You're better off getting an NLV certificate which shows your nationality and then going. But we don't really get any people like that because most of our NLVs are retirees anyway. So that's the EU side of things. In terms of what happens after that, you've obviously got an EU family member. So it becomes an EU family member application. If you're married to a British citizen, they then have to apply, instead of to renew their NLV to the subdelegation of the government, they apply as an EU family member to get residency. And remember, you both get 5 years residency instead of just getting the renewal for 2 years. And you have the right to work as well if you want to. You're treated as EU citizens and EU family members. And that process is done. There's a two-step process for the EU family member. Is first they have to apply for the permission because evidently they've got a British passport or a third country national passport. That permission is applied for at the subdelegation of the government's immigration department. And then once that permission is granted, you then have to go and get your new TIE card. Right.
Yeah, and so is that all of the documents you need? You've mentioned
no, for the family member, you still need the proof of the income. You need proof of where you're living. The padron is very important. The padron is one that you both figure are living at the same address. You still need to prove your healthcare, but more importantly, you have to prove the relationship. So, if you're married and you're married in the UK, you would have to get an up-to-date marriage certificate, like you did for the initial NLV application, apostilled and translated.
Oh, your voice is trailing out for a minute. Just
you hear me then?
Oh yes, it's back again.
It's me trying not to cough into the mic. So you would definitely the very important thing is the marriage certificate, especially for Brits who have then changed to an Irish passport. If you've got married in the UK, which generally tends to be a common demographic of ours, you would need to get an up-to-date marriage certificate again and have that legalised apostille translated and submit it, and it can't be longer than 90 days old.
Great stuff. Budori has a question. Hello there. And he's saying, has anybody gone through the process of renewing a withdrawal agreement TIE whilst not currently resident in Spain? I suspect not yet.
No, you have to be, well, you'd be living here, wouldn't you? So if that's a temporary withdrawal agreement, then and you're renewing it for a permanent one, then when you come to renew it, they're going to ask for proof that you're actually living here.
So yes, that's not happened. It will become more of an issue, he says, as permanent resident WA beneficiaries exercise their rights to a 5-year absence without loss of residency rights, with the possibility that the WA TIE expires during such a 5-year absence. Yeah, is it a 5-year card that you get first as a permanent?
No, you get 10. So yeah, 10. So in the temporary residency period, it's a 5 years. But then I think what Badori is getting at there is once you switch it for a permanent one, okay, in theory, under the withdrawal agreement, you can spend up to 5 years outside of Spain. But no one's actually done that and proven it and gone for a second permanent residency after that. Yeah. Whereas with normal permanent residency, you can only spend up to a year outside, unless it's exceptional circumstances.
Yeah, so it's going to be around about 2030 by the time those kind of circumstances are going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. It'll be a bit further down the line. I mean, we've already done some permanent withdrawal agreements. There has been some circumstances where people have been on a temporary card. So you've heard of the circumstance where someone had a green card, it was valid, say, for 3 years. They switched, then got a 5-year temporary card.
Yeah.
But their permanent residence should kick in after 2 years of that 5-year card.
Yeah.
Right. Again, that's one of those, it depends who you get behind the desk, because, yeah, that's absolutely right. Albeit your card has got 5 years on it, if you've been registered for 5 years as a temporary residency, albeit you're EU then switched to WA, you should be able to get your permanent card. So where have we seen that? We've seen that where people have been automatically given a permanent card because they've lost their card. Right? So people just lost their card, we've gone in, and on the system it's kicked up, they've been here 5 years, permanent residence. We've got people who have also tried to make that exchange and been given it. There's people who've had a bit of backlash. And also in places like Granada, when they did their WA, which they didn't do the same here in Malaga, they gave the withdrawal agreement residency from the date you registered on the Padron, right? So we had some clients who got their withdrawal agreement and it was already 2 or 3 years in. So they've already renewed for their permanent, whereas in Malaga they didn't do that. So, yeah, interpretation, it depends.
Yes. Vidori's saying the question is about permanent residency. It could happen before 15 years. Oh, yeah. PR status occurs before the 5-year card is up for renewal, e.g. an arrival in 2016. Yeah, that's kind of what you were talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. So, no, but it's definitely worth, again, it depends on where you go. I don't know where you are, Alicante, Murcia, Malaga, but here in Malaga they are doing that. So, yeah, that's it's worth, if you have had WA and you prove you've been living here and you switched your card for a 5-year one, then the documents you'd need, EX23 790 to go and try and get that into a permanent one.
Brilliant. The middle journey has just joined us. My question may have been answered. How much do I need in the bank for non-lucrative visa per year? We did answer that, but go for it again, Chris.
If you're single applicant, it's passive income, savings, or combination of both for €28,800. If you're a couple, it's 36,000. When you come to renew, I'm actually going to do a new renewal video as well. Then if it's savings, then you have to prove 2 years. Passive income is considered as double because it's passive recurring, and savings is considered as its value. So if you're working up a savings for renewal, you need double.
Brilliant. Which is what?
And that's still my stance, despite what else is on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. So 72,000. That is, yeah. That's the double. Yep. Okay, so sausages, great name. So, as a husband to my Spanish wife that has a Dutch passport, okay, so you're both EU, I can live with her in Spain as a family member. I will have zero money but plan to work there. My wife will work and support me first. Anything they need to know?
That's fine. That's so as a husband to my Spanish wife that has a Dutch. Yeah, so both EU, and if one EU person depends on the other, you just got to prove the dependency of a marriage certificate and prove what the source of the income from the other person. And it can be either or. So that's fine. You can support a family member. Yeah,
the tricky bit is going to be before the wife gets the job.
Yes.
Or sets up the business, then you'd need some kind of healthcare cover.
Yes, this is like the catch-22. So a lot of people go to say that I need residency to get a job, but then you can't get your job until you've got your NIE number, but then you can't get your residency until you've got your contract. So what a lot of people have to do is they'll go and get an NIE certificate number first, use that to then get the contract and go back and get their residency.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I did, wasn't it? Got the NIE number first, registered with Social Security as self-employed, and then that covered both me and Liz to get our healthcare insurance. So,
and then if you tell the Estrangeria that you're getting this because you need to get a job, then that's how you need residency first. They'll try and get you to come with private healthcare and savings, whereas you can get an NIE number to open a bank account. first, and then use that to get your job and go back and get your residency.
Brilliant. So Sausager says she has an NIE, although it's actually called a DNI if your wife is Spanish.
Yes. Yep.
There we go. That's good to know. So, no more questions on the live chat right now, unless anybody has any. So, what else did we have to question? Oh, yeah, this is about the time when you actually renew. Should you wait, not renew, but change from NLV to EU? Should you wait until a point when you're about to renew at your 2-3 years or 4 to 5 years, and in order to change to EU?
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't actually have to, but I think it's always a good idea to, depending on what your circumstances are. If you're already on a NLV and you're happy, and you're living, you don't want to work, etc., then you can wait until you've got all your documents in place. But you don't have to wait. Mm-hmm. To be honest, most of ours have fallen into that anyway, because the amount of time it's taken to get the passport, and then when people have come up to renewal, we've then done it on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, we went to a couple of the immigration departments and put a request in for information, because in theory, you can't renew an NLV if one of the partners has now got an EU passport. That always takes precedence. Mm-hmm. Malaga came back and said, no, the person has to get an EU family member's residency, because now if their family member has an EU passport, that's how you have to do it. Always takes precedence over the national immigration law. Whereas Granada came back and went, they've got a choice. They can either register their family member or just renew their NLV how they see fit, which was strange, because that wasn't our understanding, but it goes to show different interpretations.
So can there be problems caused about doing it not at the renewal time?
There can.
Problems.
If you're not doing it at renewal time, then you would have to essentially renounce your residency with the sub-delegation, whereas if you're in the renewal period, you take that step out, basically. So that makes it slightly easier if you're in the renewal period and you're already, you don't have to renounce your residency with the sub-delegation of the government, which can become a pain, basically, to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Great. Beverly has a question. Slightly off topic. This is about rental contracts. What is the usual rental contract needed to get on the Padron? We're doing a civil partnership later this year and we'll be moving next year, ultimately to Fuerteventura. So that is an interesting question, and it does depend on the different town halls, I think. Yeah,
I mean, minimum is obviously it's got to be. What we can say first of all, working backwards, it definitely can't say tourist contract on it. It's going to be a living long-term contract, which relates to the relevant Lowy law. Now, in our experience, it's 11 months plus that you need on a contract to get a Padron. But we have seen some town halls which have done it with 6, believe it or not. Mojaca recently, I think it was, in Almeria, did one. When I was in Alicante, I can't remember if it was Rojales or Algorfa, when I was speaking to them, said, we're doing a 6-month contract. So it really depends on how strict town halls are. What you'll find is that places like the coast here in Malaga, because of the previous scandals, and they're going to Fuerteventura, so I don't know, there are a lot of scandals here, so they're very strict on their contracts, whereas maybe smaller places aren't so much.
Well, I think there's something to do with it's the actual kind of contract that's more important than the time span. So this 11-month contract thing is not necessarily the be-all and the end-all.
It definitely can't say tourist contract on it. It's got to be a long-term or habilitation, should we say, for living on it.
Yeah. It's like the difference between temporary and permanent on your NIE. So, yeah.
And it must be in Spanish.
Yeah.
To be legal, it must. If you look, do you know what has a really good contract is Idealista. They update their contract templates all the time. And if you're taking a contract, don't forget to make sure every page is signed as well, not just the back page.
Good to know. And I'll come to your question in a minute, Steve, but let's just go down to Toasties Van Build. Very nice name. Can you have a holiday rental Spanish property with an NLV?
Yeah, as long as you're not working or managing it, then there's nothing wrong with you creating passive income through ownership of a property. And what you can't do is be running it as a business. You have to, you'd have to get either another business to run it for you. So you can't run a business as a holiday rental, but certainly you can create passive income from a property.
Yes, in theory, you're not supposed to even have a website that you're running and taking calls and all that kind of thing.
Well, as long as someone else is managing it for you, then that's it's what it all comes down to how you're registered. So how would you take that income? So if someone else is running that for you as a shall we say a letting agency or something, then
yeah, and that means you're kind of getting commission, which is passive.
Commission, which is passive, but you can't own a business and run it as a business. Essentially, giving an asset to an agency who is paying you your passive income for managing it for you. Yes,
there we go. Steve's question then, with regard to his question above, this is changing to permanent withdrawal agreement residency. Should I take in my widow's pension paperwork and healthcare certificate, or will they check it on their system like they did in 2016?
I'd take it anyway, belts and braces.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I did my TIE card, I took put my work history and stuff in there.
Yes. Nice one. Okay, so there's no more questions that I've got about renewing. Anything else we need to say about that?
No, so we're updating. Obviously, I mean, what we can say is at the moment, obviously, these circumstances where people were switching from the NLV to EU platform really didn't come about until the UK left the EU, but it is working here in Malaga. It's been working really well in terms of for first-time EU family members, we can wait 3 to 4 months to get the resolutions through. But for people who are coming through who've already been on an NLV, they've been coming through really quickly. And I think that's down to the proof that they're actually already living here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing in Malaga. They always ask for proof that you've been living here, etc., etc. And in Alicante, it seems to be working well. So it's good for people to know that they can get into Spain on the NLV and then actually switch to that platform once they've got the Irish passport in their hand.
Mm-hmm. And there's the other thing about changing to working visas or self-employment visas. That's something that you can do slightly easier if you're here on an NLV first. If you're already resident in Spain, then you don't have to fulfill that strange rule that you used to fulfill. If you're living outside of the country and applying for a working visa, then everybody in the EU has to be offered the job first before they can offer it to you. But if you're actually living in Spain as a resident, that cancels out that rule, and it means that you are allowed to get a job at the same you've got the same qualification as an EU citizen there.
Yeah, because you're already living here. So we said before, we'd love to hear if anybody's done that, what we get a study on.
Yeah, absolutely, because you don't put through people to those platforms, really, do you? You've got so many NLV clients.
We're busy as it is for the NLV, to be honest, so we haven't done that. It's not really our general demographic of client, to be honest. Most of our clients are coming here to retire, even if they go to the EU platform. Yeah.
I think Rochelle gets more of those kind of clients. Mind that she's swamped with digital nomad visas at the moment. So
yeah,
there you go. Mad David says, thanks as always, chaps. It's been very educational, but the dog is bouncing off the walls, so I must say goodbye. Yes, thanks for joining us, Mad David, and see you soon. I don't actually have any more questions unless we wanted to talk about other platforms. Are there any others any other changes that you can make that we might like to mention?
I'm trying to think now. You put me out there. So on the EU, you mean? So obviously we've done EU, we've done NLV to EU. Obviously, you could do NLV to investor visa.
Oh yes, yeah, the golden.
Yeah, the golden visa. So there's nothing stopping you if you come on an NLV and then make an investment in a property to come to switch to that. I know I've seen, I've never actually done one of those, but there's nothing stopping you doing it. And you can apply within Spain. And now with the golden visa, you get 3 years initially if you're applying within Spain. So, and don't forget that you can work as well. So that gives you the same rights to work and actually travel freely outside of Spain. There's no time constraints on the golden visa as well. So, so that's good. But you would need criminal records checks from both Spain and the country where you came from on the NLV, because they ask you for the previous 5 years.
Well, John the Joiner's asked an interesting question. If you're changing from NLV to work permit, is there a minimum salary required?
Don't know. We haven't done them, so I don't know.
No, I think there is a financial requirement.
There is. There is definitely more than EPREM. I think it's. I can't remember what it is because we haven't done them. I've never researched, to be honest. Yeah,
it could be that minimum. I can't remember what the mnemonic is. The 3 letters.
It's the salario interprofesional, isn't it? The level of that. I think it's not related to EPREM, but yeah. Unfortunately, we don't do them. There's so many platforms, and we're busy enough with NLVs.
Yeah. Sarah has another question. Off topic. I heard that if you earn money when drawing a pension, then that income affects how much pension you get. Is this true? No. And she says maybe that only relates to drawing a Spanish pension.
Don't know if when I know if you're working, then they reduce the amount of pension that you receive. Is that where that's going with that?
Yeah, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know. I've not heard of it anyway. I know it doesn't affect your UK pension if you pension from abroad, but you'll certainly be taxed on fully on any wages.
Your income, everybody's circumstances with as individual, but it might be relating there. Now, I spoke to somebody recently about this who's got the state pension from Spain but continued to work and actually receives a slightly reduced amount because of the convenio, blah, 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 blah. They're only allowed to work up to a certain amount, So I think that's what that relates to. So you could be right there that if you were due to get a full Spanish pension, but you continue to work, you won't get the full one until you finish work. That's something that probably Antonio will be able to answer better than I can.
Get him back on the show.
Yeah, getting back on, but it's certainly something that does happen because I know someone who's continued to work after they've liable to receive it.
Yeah, she says the income is going to be from a holiday let. So, yeah. Yes, wherever the income's from, I suppose it's that's a passive income.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect. If you've got income coming from a holiday let and the state pension from the UK, your state pension shouldn't be affected.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't think so. There we go. That's all the questions I've got.
All right.
We've got through them all in just under an hour. That's nice, isn't it? That means we can go out and celebrate.
Yes. Well, hopefully I'll see you on Monday. I'm just going to try and adjust my day a little bit so I can come and say hi.
Yeah, brilliant. Me, you, and Yogi and Sean. That should be a nice little get together. We'll have to film it all.
Yes, yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll have to at least get a photo at least and film it. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, cool. I'd like to say thank you to the 2 people who've hovered over the GoFundMe there, the QR code. As we've had 2 donations there. Thank you so much. And any more live chat questions that anyone has before I tell you who's on next week's show? And while we're waiting for those questions to come in because of the time delay, I'll just remind you that if you have any more questions or comments after we go off the air, put them in the YouTube comments below rather than on some random Facebook expat group, because that will only get seen by me. Instead, put it down below, and then everybody that watches these videos can get the answers and the help they need for free. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Where's me thing? It's gone. I wish I could have this on the same screen so I didn't have to keep flicking backwards and forwards. It is a win-win-win. There we go. Back onto the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button. That's what they say on YouTube. And also subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming on each week on the live shows and the midweek videos and also the video diaries. So Everybody's saying great show, lads. Have a great weekend. Thanks, lads. Have a good weekend. Wishing you well, Skatz. Thanks, guys. Great show as always. And yes, thank you to all of you. That is all of the questions. Anything else to say to everybody before we go, Chris?
No, thanks for watching. And I missed out doing my weekly updates for a couple of weeks because I was away. So I'm going to get cracking on them again this week. I just recorded it actually for your show. So
good stuff. Look forward to them.
That's it. And what else can we say? I'll just promote my channel. Really, go have a look at mine. So I'm trying to get up to 3,000 subscribers.
Yeah, we've got a race on. Well, you're going to 3,000. I'm heading for 10,000.
10, yeah. Let's get to. But I think by mid-year we can get yours to 10 and mine to 3. I
think so. Yeah. I'm heading up towards 8 at the moment, so that's good.
Are you already? Wow.
Yeah, 7, 6, something. Yeah. I keep looking at it. It goes up a few every day. So right. There we go. John the Joiner says, I think there's a change in the pre-tax threshold if you have more than one income source. Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, it is to do with tax. I think it's rather than a reduction in the pension. That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah, and I know that things like rental income are actually taxed quite favourably in Spain.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
So yeah. So it's different. Not the 100% of the rental income is associated to your net income. Doing your tax return. I only know that because we had a rental property, so I know that Antonio once explained to me. Doesn't matter. Do this because it's okay. It's taxed well rental income. So yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, just throw that one to Antonio. We'll ask him that on a future show.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions for now then. So before we find out what's happening on next week's show, let's all say a huge thank you to Chris once again for being so very helpful. Give him a massive virtual hug and a kiss, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
See you then.
So bye-bye for now. So who do we have on next week's show? Well, possibly it's Sam Campbell again, our very, very helpful and recommended insurance person. She does insurance for all kinds of things, including healthcare. So looking forward to that. Have your questions ready or just prepare yourself for a lovely chat. In the meantime, you can ask questions in advance on the Facebook page or the Facebook group or under any one of the videos, and I'll see them there. So thanks once again to everybody who's joined us on the live chat, for watching the video back afterwards and leaving comments, hitting the like button and doing the GoFundMe. I'll see you either on the Wednesday evening video or on the video diary on Fridays, or live next week on Saturday mornings at the regular time, 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or in the Canary Islands, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe. And that is all for this week. Somebody pass around the change cookies. So peace and love, and peas and fluff, and get ready to dance. Here's one final message from everybody here at YouTooSpain. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.